Hey guys, this is IrieStarcraft and I'm back to cast another game for you. This one is going to be a 4v4 on Extinction, and it will be between PZT, or PZT, the red Zerg player. His teammate will be Ice, the teal Zerg, and ArtOfTerran, the blue Protoss, and Earthmaster, the purple Protoss. Their opponents will be Zerantoss, the orange Protoss, and Dragon, the yellow Terran, and Superdry, the pink Protoss, and InFeR, the green Protoss. So I'm trying not to read the chat log right there, and so it's a little bit late, but yeah, if your children are watching the computer screen right now, just cover their eyes about 10 seconds ago and you'll be in good shape. So anyway, let's go ahead and get to the game here. And so it's going to be 3 Protoss players. Let's see, the top team, yes, the top team is 3 Protoss and a Terran against 2 Zerg, a Protoss, and or 2 Zerg, 2 Protoss. So right away, the first thing I can say about this game, as you see ArtOfTerran and Earthmaster doing some pro press, taking out 1 SCV. They're forcing 4 of them off the line just for Dragon can get his freaking barracks down. So that's super annoying. But yeah, the top team, I definitely expect a rush coming from the bottom team. The top team is going to be in trouble trying to deal with that. So we'll see what they do. It looks like Earthmaster says forge. Zerantoss is going to be putting a cannon over here. I'm not a huge fan of this placement, but never mind. He is going to go ahead and get a cannon back by the mineral line too. However, just this one cannon out here without any kind of wall will be pretty vulnerable. So we'll see. He'll probably wall this off completely with a gateway there. And another forge coming out from InFeR. So this is exactly what they need to do. The 3 Protoss team definitely has to get some cannons. And they are doing that, so they should be able to survive this early harassment. We'll see what kind of damage can be done by the Zerg players, though. Ice looks like, does he already have Zerglings out here? Let's see. Ice is the teal. Nope, he's just been droning up like crazy, so Ice is one step ahead. He's like, dude, they're all getting cannons, so I'm just going to go ahead and get my economy kicking and probably maybe even expand. We'll see. But PZT is running up to Superdry's base, who has not opted to go for a forge, and so his probes are exposed. Going to be getting a couple of kills on those probes before he looks like he's going to be forced to run around all over the place here away from the Zealot, and now Marines coming. And Zerglings are going to try and surround the Zealot, and then with the Marine support, we'll start running away. So it looks like we are going to have a bit of a standoff for a little bit, as the top team has definitely gone defensive with these cannons. And so that gives me an opportunity to to address. I know a lot of you really don't like it when I start going off topic or rant about certain other things, but I'm sorry, you guys. That's just my style. If I feel like talking about something like that, like for example, the fact that a lot of players like to team up in groups of 2 or 3 with their friends and then play in 3s or 4s. I still can't figure that out. I have no problem if people want to do it, fine. I just don't like that you're even allowed to do it. It's just kind of like misleading. I don't really understand the point, but anyway, yeah. So I'm going to rant about random stuff, and if you don't like it, then that's too bad. So I'm going to get back to the game while there's still a lull here and talk about some tech routes, because now it looks like they're going to go ahead and completely... No, they're not going to wall this off completely. I think units can run through here, which is why Superdry has these Zealots here, and at the same time Earthmaster has expanded, PZT has expanded, Ice has expanded. The only one not expanding is ArtOfTerran, who has 4 gateways morphing into warp gates right now. So he looks like he wants to be aggressive. Scan's going to go off and reveal how far behind on the 4-gate Earthmaster really is, and if the top team is wise, they'll realize the bottom team is expanding. Based on the timing of those gateways, we'll see if they opt to expand too. Zerantoss has decided to grab the super safe middle expansion on this map, which I haven't talked about the map much, but it looks like nobody's tried to take a sneaky high yield. I like this pylon over here though for ArtOfTerran. This is nice. You can see if anyone tries to take that sneaky expansion, and also, you know, warp in units there right away to deal with it. And I also like this pylon right here. It's unlikely to be scouted early on in the game, and we'll be able to reinforce easily from that location. So I expect the bottom team the Protoss players here are going to really apply the pressure here in just a minute. Once Earthmaster can get some units to go with ArtOfTerran. And meanwhile, I mean, I'm sort of just flying around the map here. I don't want to miss any action, and we do have InFeR going for double Stargates, and Phoenix is on the way for InFeR. He already has 2 Phoenix out. It looks like he is he just wants to get a few more Phoenix before he reveals that tech, but he will probably be doing some worker harassment with that. Ice with this Overseer is getting a full scout of what's going on, so I think he did see the Phoenix. I'm not sure, 100% sure on that. Zerantoss with an Immortal already out, and I don't see any sign of a robotics bay anytime soon, so we'll see what comes out of that. And again, we are just massing up, massing, and teching. So still really no attacks going on. And this often makes for a gigantic bloody battle at the mid-game point when nobody fights for a while. And whoever gets the better positioning in that battle will win the game. So we'll see if it turns out that way. Good job putting this cannon down here for Earthmaster. Is really going to make the probe harassment with the Phoenix not as effective. Going to be picking up some Hydras here, but Spore Crawlers will deflect these Phoenix, it looks like. And yeah, I think these Stargates definitely got scouted because everybody seems to be ready for this. There are cannons in really good locations here to deal with the Phoenix. Phoenix, though, are going to use this little high ground here to be annoying, but I don't think these Phoenix are going to do nearly as much as they wanted to. We'll be able to get this Queen, it looks like. So that will delay some economy there from PZT for a bit before these Phoenix fly away. ArtOfTerran warding them off with all of the Stalkers. And let's see, we do have, let's see here. It looks like, okay, Superdry has even gotten a Warp Prism just to grab this expansion back here. And he does have a robotics bay. Shuttling probes up there. And where is the Terran player again? He must be, okay, Terran player is up here. We have siege tanks on the way. 2 siege tanks are out. Siege tech is finished. So you guys know how it is, man. When siege tanks are positioned well and in siege mode, they will be very effective. And if not, they are pretty useless. So definitely a swing unit in that respect. As Zerantoss is running around up here. And I'm not sure if he's just scouting, but sending his entire army to do that. Doesn't seem that necessary, but maybe, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. That proxy pylon was from ArtOfTerran, so a little bit of confusion on my part, I apologize. He's taken out the proxy pylon and going to be throwing an expansion down up there. Meanwhile, Dragon has lifted off an expansion and landed up here. As you can see, there are rocks blocking the ramp up to these locations, so it's nice for Terran to be able to lift off and land their command centers up there. And they're a little bit more of a pain for everybody else to get to. As the Phoenix looks like most of their harassment is going to be done here, and I'm assuming the rest of the best use of these Phoenix for the rest of the game is going to be in tandem with the other armies, though. We'll see. As I think InFeR is going to continue trying to harass her. He does have quite a bit now, but oh, a nice fungal growth right there from Ice to trap some of these Phoenix, but he doesn't have, the Hydras can't get down there quick enough. One more fungal growth could be the demise of some of these Phoenix, but they are going to be able to get away just in time. So unfortunately, those Hydras are so slow that they couldn't get down there to rip apart the Phoenix. But that is definitely going to make InFeR think twice before flying these Phoenix all over the map. The fact that the fungal growths are definitely in play, and Ice is going for some infestors as well, so that means we have PZT with infestors, Ice with infestors, and so those you guys know how I feel about infestors. They are extremely powerful. borderline overpowered, if you ask me. And oh, that reminds me that somebody recently posted on one of my posted a comment on one of the older games where I remember there was a while where I was ranting about the fact that High Templars had the Kaidarian amulet removed, and I couldn't figure out why that was supposedly a fair trade, considering InFeR just seemed so powerful. But the guy pointed out that High Templars you can pretty much build instantly, whereas InFeR they take a while to build. So in that respect, it does make sense that they took out the Kaidarian amulet, because in the time it takes to build an InFeR, a High Templar will be able to pretty much regenerate 25 energy and have that 75. It's just, I guess I'm just a little bummed about it, because I always I loved watching replays when Protoss players. Oh, we see carriers coming out, by the way. Carriers are on the way, so that is going to be pretty crazy. But let me finish that thought really quick. I always thought it was awesome watching Protoss players warping in High Templars, like defensively, you know, warping in High Templars in like their expansions and stuff to Psystorm like Marines and Marauders and everything. That was always really exciting. So I guess I'm just sort of nostalgic in that regard. But anyway, it is what it is, and apparently I'm the only one who was complaining about it. But I'm done complaining about it. I was just pointing that out. But anyway, long story short, InFeRs are borderline overpowered in my opinion. But that is to say that all Zerg players should really find a way to work InFeRs, because they really work for just about any build. As it looks like Earthmaster wants to break this new base for Zerantoss before he can drain too many of these minerals. However, now there's a ton of cannons up here. Problem with all these cannons is they just aren't going to be doing much at all when the armies are this big for ArtOfTerran and Earthmaster. So at the same time, it looks like PZT is trying to do a Hydralisk drop in here, and that is not going to work at all. There are carriers and stalkers and colossi just sitting in the middle, and it looks like this overlord full of Hydralisks is going to go down, and PZT might want to think about dropping those at this point, as the carriers are trying to press the counterattack there. At the same time, it looks like Ice has been down over in this location, trying to harass this area from Superdry, but it looks like Superdry is okay down there. He has enough colossi to ward that attack back. Now the Hydras have come out of the overlords and are going to push back the carriers. So these carriers, now that they've been revealed, you may want to think twice about going for mass carrier. I just want to say that right now, though very good in tandem with Colossi, I should say, but you need to be careful with these mass carriers, as we do see High Templar now on the field for ArtOfTerran. And that is going to be very strong against these siege tanks and Marines and Marauders, but that means that ArtOfTerran has got to be the one to engage the Terran, because otherwise those High Templars are just not going to be that effective against all the Protoss players. So again, you've heard me talk about this before, but in 4v4s it comes down to which armies are engaging which, as these roaches are just getting roasted up by the Colossi. Some Corruptors are now on the field though for PZT, and these Colossi are completely exposed to the Corruptors trying to run away, and Stalkers now from Superdry are going to force those back. At the same time, it looks like Dragon is retreating up top. I'm not sure if any Sidestorms did end up going off, but it looks like after about 15 minutes of just macroing and teching up all over the place, there is action everywhere, as Zerantoss is going to be quickly dispatching Earthmaster's base here. But no, it looks like ArtOfTerran is going to have something to say about that. At the same time, there is a major engagement down here with the carriers, and it looks like InFeR and his team is going to have the advantage in that battle. At the same time, in this battle, ArtOfTerran and Earthmaster have the advantage. The Sidestorms are coming down all over the Bio Ball, and the Siege Tanks and Marines and Marauders are melting away to the Sidestorms. Sidestorms even going off on the Colossi. That is something you never see. And that entire army is going to get lit up. At the same time, though, it looks like InFeR is utilizing this high ground very well to stay away from the Hydralisks. He still has 2 carriers on the field, but the Hydralisks are trying to take out these rocks here really quick with the help of these Zerglings to try and get to these carriers. And it looks like the carriers for InFeR, wow, the Hydras are actually going to pull back now that they've almost killed these rocks. So surprised there. I guess he's just doesn't feel like he has enough there. But the bottom team is able to hold on to that expansion, And now ArtOfTerran is going to be grabbing the high yield that Zerantoss vacated, who still has probes mining up here. So this game is getting pretty intense here. It looks like Earthmaster is going to be opting to take this expansion. He already has this one kicking. He still has this one kicking. So Earthmaster is getting greedy, greedy, greedy. This is like his 4th base. He still has minerals in his main base. So, and now some Corruptors from PZT are going to fly in here and clean up the last of these carriers. But I think InFeR is going to be relentless with these carriers. He is not stopping that pumpage. Not stopping the carrier pumpage. And at the same time, Ice has snuck some roaches up into this main from Superdry, but there's just not enough, it looks like, to make that big of a difference. And some cannons going down here from ArtOfTerran will take care of the long-distance mining probes. And I do see another battle down here. It looks like Dragon has made his way down here. Probably a dropship. I'm assuming he flew down here in some dropships because these Brains and Marauders are doing quite a bit of damage. These roaches on the low ground can't reach them anymore. And so these Marauders looks like are going to be able to clean up this hatchery. No, there are Colossi coming down here to deal with that. And is the top team trying to make another attack at the same time? Because now would have been an ideal time for Zerantoss. He is running back here because it looks like there's another drop from PZT, but there's barely any units coming out. Maybe more of a feign drop, but if Zerantoss could have easily dispatched this expansion right there with that army, and instead sort of being indecisive here, running back and forth. And it looks like these Corruptors, though, unfortunately, are going to get taken out. Unfortunately for the bottom team, are going to get taken out. There are too many carriers, but whoa, here comes the more Corruptors. Ice flying up here with a ton of Corruptors. And now PGT is going to get back in on here. However, these Corruptors are taking quite a bit of damage. They could all die. It's going to be very close if the carriers choose to engage. There is some Stalker reinforcements coming in here that looks like are going to ward back these Corruptors. And now a Dragon wanting, it looks like he was able to shell away these cannons that ArtOfTerran put up here, but he's got to be really careful. You see him running away with these siege tanks because the Protoss death ball of ArtOfTerran with Archons, High Templars all over the place, Zealots, Stalkers. What kind of uppers? We have 3-3-1 upgrades on the ground army for ArtOfTerran. And it looks like Earthmaster trying to engage here on the right side. Gonna be tough to engage here though against these carriers and Colossi, but he does have roach support from Ice as well as some infestors that are burrowing up to the front. And here it goes. The fungal growths are going to hold the carriers in the front. Can the Stalkers get underneath? The Stalkers blinking underneath and trying to pick out these carriers. It looks like the Colossi are going to go down. And Ice and Earthmaster looks like they may have broken the right side. And the right, I shouldn't say the right team, the right side is not broken just yet. There's more carriers popping out, trying to rebuild those interceptors. Colossi looks like we'll be able to hold that off. I feel like if ArtOfTerran wanted to end this right now, he could just completely steamroll the yellow player. And so we'll see where he opts to go. It looks like he might be going right into Orange's base. And again, PZT trying to do a drop across the middle with a ton of Zerglings. He will be able to take out this base. This Broodlord, though, however, is going to go down to those carriers. ArtOfTerran is inside Orange's main, and Zerantoss is in big trouble, though. These tanks were able to siege up at a good location, but he's got to be careful to protect them. It doesn't look like there is going to be enough for Dragon. Side storms are coming down. Could we even see some feedbacks on the medevacs? It won't even be necessary. This army is way too powerful. And InFeR, it looks like, is retreating with some of these carriers. Too many Stalkers. And that's the problem. I was telling you guys I was telling you guys earlier, man. The mothership, though, for InFeR is out. He did go for the mothership, and I love the mothership. It's just not going to pay out. I mean, how quickly can these Blink Stalkers take it out? Pretty damn fast. And definitely with some Corruptor help. So, I love the carrier play initially, but there's something about it. Every time I see players... Oh, and it looks like right before a bunch of carriers were about to pop out, these Stargates get unpowered. Not that it would have mattered at this point, but what I was going to say is that I keep seeing these games where, like, I've watched I've watched games with TLO and stuff, and this is maybe a bad parallel because like I watched TLO on Terran, and he tries to do all these crazy builds, which is always really exciting. You see some DTs even warping in somewhere, and he'll try and do something crazy. Whenever he tries to go for like battle cruisers, he ends up losing, and so it kind of sucks. But I feel like those units like battle cruisers and carriers are good in spots and occasionally teamed up with other units, but you got to take advantage of the surprise factor when you have the carriers. Like once you reveal the carriers, you got to try and either end it right then or do as much damage with them as you can and then switch tech. So throw off your opponents, because if you just keep pumping mass carriers, you've lost that surprise factor, and the bottom team, like in this game, are able to just get tons and tons of corruptors and blink stalkers, and then your carriers really aren't going to be able to do much. So anyway, I want to thank Earthmaster for sending me this game. It was pretty exciting, very slow at the beginning, I will say, but it definitely picked up and got pretty intense there for a bit. So again, thank you Earthmaster for sending me this game. It was a pleasure to cast, and that's going to do it for me. This is IrieStarcraft, and peace out.